Shalom everybody, welcome back to Deep Stories. We're going to read a short story about Elijah the Prophet. Then we're going to learn about Hulda. Hulda was one of the great female prophets that we have in the Torah. It tells this story about Eliyahu and the fisherman. Eliyahu was a great prophet and is a great prophet from God who's sent down to do many missions. It says he was walking by the road. He sat down and began to learn Torah. A man passing by started to laugh at him. Eliyahu said, "What will you say to your Creator on the Day of Judgment? What excuse will you have for not having learned Torah?" The man says, "I will say to Hashem that He did not give me understanding and brains to learn." Eliyahu said, "My son, what is your occupation?" He said, "I'm a fisherman." Eliyahu now spoke words that really penetrated the man's heart. He said, "Look, my son, you have understanding and brains enough to turn flax into nets and catch fish with them. Surely you have understanding and wisdom to learn Torah, of which it is said, because it is very close to you." And the man really started to feel this and started to cry. And Eliyahu said, "It's never too late. If you change and you start to learn, you can do it." So we really never have an excuse, especially nowadays with the amount of Torah that's available to us online and like on podcasts and the such. We really don't have an excuse, and we just have to try to do our best to learn whatever Torah we're able to and whatever Torah resonates with us. So now we're going to read about the prophetess Hulda, like we said. She's one of the greatest women in the Bible. It says that there are when we speak about the names and prophecies about prophets and prophetesses, it was 48 male prophets and 7 of the prophetesses, and she's one of the 7. She lived and had prophecy during the reign of King Yoshia, the king of Judah, which was before the first exile, a little before that. She lived in the same time as the prophet Jeremiah. And they say that she was related to Jeremiah, that they both came from Rahab, who was the one that had the spies of Joshua. It says that Rahab was a very beautiful woman, and she was virtuous and God-fearing, and that Joshua actually married her after they captured Jericho. She converted, and so that's why Jeremiah and Hulda come from them. Hulda was the wife of Shallum, who was one of the servants, the chamberlain of King Yoshia. Yoshia was only 8 years old when he became king. His father Ammon was murdered by treacherous servants, and it was very lucky for Yoshia and the country that he was guided by righteous men like the high priest Kohen Gadol Chilkiah, and the son of Chilkiah was Jeremiah the prophet, and Shaphan the royal scribe, and his son Achikam, and by Shallum and his wife, the prophetess Hulda. They really helped educate and to guide King Yoshia, who was a young boy, until he was old enough to take over the royal reins at the age of 16. He didn't take after his father Ammon or grandfather Menashe, who were pretty wicked and had brought a lot of idol worship into the country. He took after his great-grandfather Hezekiah. He was a wise and righteous king who was a blessing to the land. And as we mentioned before, the prophetess Hulda was one of those that aided this young king in his noble work to strengthen their faith in God and to observe Hashem's commandments. It says that Jeremiah taught and admonished the men. She was the one, Hulda, taught and preached to the women. She even had her own school in which she instructed the women in the laws and the ways of Hashem. And one of the gates of the Beit HaMikdash, where the prophetess used to teach and preach, was called the Gate of Hulda. And we'll continue talking about Hulda on the next episode. God bless you all.